Now, Florida State Senator Shevrin Jones was one of several lawmakers who was turned away from going inside the detention center just last week. We talked with him earlier this week about the budding concerns over conditions at the facility. Shevrin, you and four other colleagues from the state legislature tried to get into Alligator Alcatraz last week, were denied entry. What reasons were you given for being turned away?
Well, first, thanks for having me, Jim. The reason why they told us that it wasn't safe for us to go in at the time was because they said it was unsafe conditions. We went on to continue to ask the question that if the conditions were unsafe for us to be there, how safe is it for to have the detainees how they classify detainees inside the facility? They can give us a real reason, and the truth be told, I'm sure you are probably already aware of it, but in my 13 years of being inside the legislature, I have gone into state-run facilities numerous times, and all I had to do is do what the protocol asked us to do, is to show our badge, but that did not work in this particular facility, and still to this day, we still have not had the opportunity to get any more information on what's happening on inside the detention center.
Yeah, that was kind of my follow-up question. So as a state lawmaker, you do have the right to drop in anytime you want to, I guess. We've been reporting on the conditions at the facility there, Shevrin, and there are concerns about the food, the mosquitoes, perhaps unsanitary conditions. And I guess this is kind of a quasi-legal question about undocumented citizens and whether or not they've got, quote-unquote, civil rights in the United States. How would you respond to that?
Well, I'm not an attorney, but what I will say is that the basic rule of thumb for anybody who's in leadership is that you want to recognize someone's humanity first. It doesn't matter whether or not they are legal or illegally here. That's not the case. We should be dealing with individuals from a humanitarian standpoint first. I'll say that. The second part I'll say is that as we look at the state of Florida and the connection and their connection that they have right now with the federal government with the 287G program. Right now, the Department of Homeland Security has made it clear that the detainees that are being detained on the accord of the state of Florida. They're not being detained because of the federal government is asking them to detain these individuals. And the second thing is that we have not even found out who is inside this facility because my colleagues continue to say that this facility is for the worst of the worst of illegal criminals. Well, if it is for the worst of the worst of illegal criminals, then that's one thing, and I would support that, Jim. I would absolutely support if that was the case and what in the truth and what they said they were doing. But that's not what we believe is happening, especially when we are receiving phone calls, emails, and speaking to attorneys of individuals who are inside the facility who has made it clear that the mosquitoes are out of control and they're not getting anything to control it. There's spoken about the water and how the water is a pale color or brownish color. They spoke about the food that they're receiving, that the food is not up to par, and made it clear that one even said they received a rotten apple and was asked to eat it because that was the last thing that they had. That is the reason why we wanted to go to the facility, because the authority that we have is the ability to go into these facilities, to inspect them, to ensure that they are being up to code, to ensure that human beings are able to live within these facilities for these confined spaces for a period of time. And I know for a fact the answer is no. That is not what's happening right now at the detention center.
Yeah. Shevrin, we dealt with this topic on our show last week, and a lot of our viewer comments, many people support Alligator Alcatraz. I wonder what your message is to people who support this facility and also the aggressive roundup of undocumented residents.
Well, here's what I will tell you, that if you support the fact that we should be looking at a bipartisan way to deal with immigration, then I can support you on that, because I think Democrats and Republicans alike want to deal with illegal immigration in the most humane way possible. What we're seeing right now is not that. What we're seeing right now is political theater. My colleagues who are using immigration and the way that they are doing it in a way to try to score political points with a base. If you support individuals eating food that has maggots in it, or do not have access to running water, and you are not a criminal. As a matter of fact, let me even take it a step further. Individuals who are sitting inside this facility are fathers who were snatched from their families, mothers. These are individuals who are inside this facility, inside these facilities. And so if you support the inhumane treatment for individuals who were picked up from work and asked to get into a paddy wagon and to be taken to a facility to where you don't know what is going on because all you was doing is showing up for a court date, if you support that, shame on you. That's my message.
State Senator Shevrin Jones, we appreciate your time for weighing in on this, and certainly we will continue to follow this very important and very controversial issue to see where it all lands. Thank you very much for your time.